Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a Zone 5B in mid-Michigan. And we got rain. I'm so excited to tell you that. I can't believe it. I think we might have gotten like 3/4 of an inch. So that will definitely take us at least through a week and maybe we'll get to the next storm. I hope you guys are getting some rain, or for those of you who have just been getting downpour after downpour, I hope it's lightening up. Today we're actually dealing with some haziness. I don't know if you can tell in the video or not, but we basically are dealing with some pollutants in the air from the fires from Quebec today. So if you see that, that's what that's from, not just humidity. All right, so we're going to have a fun video today. We're going to plant some things up. We are going to plant up an elephant ear. We are going to plant up some Rudbeckia. We are going to do a Virginia and some lungwort. And finally, if we have time, we're going to get one of the Weigela that I took out of the garden urns and get it into the ground. All right, so let's get started. So we have this nice tall wicker container. I actually took my, what do you call those? Oh, cannas. My cannas were in here before and I planted those out by the pool because they got too big for these containers. And I'm going to take this elephant ear and pot it up in here. I got these containers from my sister and I love them. And so we're going to just put some fresh container soil in here. We're going to pop this in and hopefully it'll get nice and big. There should be plenty of roots for this, at least for the next few months. It is in full sun right here. Elephant ears do like to have a little bit of shade, so we'll see how well it tolerates this. But because it's so small, I think it's going to be just fine. This elephant ear was one of the 3 that I overwintered this year down in my basement. And it seems to be doing just fine, but it is getting a little bit root bound in here. Which is good, because that means that it's growing nice and happy. So it doesn't look like much, but I think it's going to be gorgeous. The other ones definitely put on a lot of growth when it got warm outside. All right, next up, let's go plant some Rudbeckia out in the garden. So this is where we're going to be planting the Rudbeckia. I swear, after it rained, even as it was raining, we like greened up around here. Everything turned green. I got these at Home Depot and they are definitely coming out of the bottom. You can see really well that they are quite root bound. These were $9.98 and these are just called Black-Eyed Susan. They don't have a variety on them. But if you guys recall, I had a cappuccino Rudbeckia over here last year, and unfortunately it didn't do very well over the winter. We had such a really wet late winter, really early spring before it dried out, and so I think they just kind of got root rot and died. So we're gonna plant 2 of these instead of just 1 this year, and we'll see how they do. I definitely had some of my heucheras in here are not doing that great because of the drought. So if we take a look really close here, I will show you that we have quite a bit of crispified foliage. So I'm just going to pull that right out. It's one of the types that I have plenty of, and we'll replace one of the Rudbeckias here. And then in this other spot, we'll just fit it right in as well. I think this one will fit just fine in between the heucheras. So that's the space we're working with today. And so this should pull out pretty easily. Yep. Despite the rain, this root ball is pretty much completely dry. And Rudbeckia don't mind that. They definitely have a pretty good drought tolerance. So I'm going to try to get this Rudbeckia out of this plant pot, and then what we'll do is we'll take the soil and we'll put it into the empty container as we go. I'm hoping it's not too hard to dig because of the fact that we got a little rain. It shouldn't be hard as a rock in here anymore. Seems to be pretty good. It definitely is still dry. We could use probably oh, a good another 3 inches of rain. You're just going to take the root ball and rough it up a bit here on the bottom. Looks like this was actually planted in like some pine bark fines. And we'll replace all that good soil around it. And I'm not going to water it in right now, you guys. We're just going to get these into the ground. Now these are hardy down to -30, which should be a zone 3. And they bloom from early summer into fall. And they are gorgeous, like fall color for sure. And these get to be about 3 feet tall and about 2 feet wide. So we just have this one more to get planted. And I was going to put these in some pots, but then I decided I really wanted them in the ground over here because I really enjoyed the way that they look with the heucheras. Something about the orange color with that kind of brown, orange, yellow. I don't know what color that even is, you guys. It's Rudbeckia color. Sometimes it's hard for me to like dig normally in these garden beds because of all the plants I already have. So I'll at least loosen the soil and then just kind of use my hand so I don't have to worry about the shovel hitting things. And this one doesn't look very root bound, but we'll just give it a little scratch on the bottom. Nothing significant. All right, well, let's just take a step back and see how they look now that they're placed in the garden. And I think they are absolutely beautiful. I just love the way they look. I was not a fan of Rudbeckia for some time, but I enjoyed this color with the kind of brown eye in it. All right, let's go get some lungwort planted. All right, well, here we are in the woodland shade garden, and for the last, I'd say month, I have been keeping this Pulmonaria in this pot, and this is one of the new pinka blue ones from Proven Winners. These are hardy down to zone 3. They are deer and rabbit resistant because they have beautiful little furry leaves, so that's awesome. I think they're also groundhog resistant because I haven't caught them eating them. The only thing I've seen them eat off of them sometimes is the little tiny flowers in springtime, but they didn't eat very many, so it might have been a new bunny just trying it out. Anyhow, this is for a shade to part shade. I can actually get away with part sun if it's early morning sun here in zone 5B. If you're in zones that are warmer climates, I would definitely recommend planting it in full shade. So we're just going to tuck this into this area right behind these heucheras, and I think it's going to be gorgeous. All right, let's get it dug in and put into its spot. Just clearing out the mulch a little bit. Looks like I have a stray geranium there. This soil is also very dry despite us just having gotten rain. But that's okay. Like I said, after we do this, I'm definitely going to give everything a good water. I just won't do it on camera. We always seem to run out of time when we're doing videos, so don't worry. I got these plants covered. They'll be well taken care of. Actually, now that I'm working with the soil, it does seem like it has some moisture in it. Definitely more than it did, I can tell. Now I'm planting this just slightly above grade here because I feel like this was planted a little bit deep. So hopefully that does well like that. I just don't want it to get buried and get crown rot. So I selected this spot because you can see on the other side of the heucheras there are some more pulmonarias. Those are the pretty and pink variety. And so because this is under the bench, I hope to be able to eventually divide it and put some more under the bench, just to kind of fill in that area. I don't like how this geranium kind of comes through and tickles the legs because it grows a little too high under this bench. But the pulmonaria should stay nice and low, so it's the perfect spot. All right, next up we're going to plant some Virginia. I think I'm gonna have to trim this shrub up a little bit. It's getting a little too low for walking on the path, but it wasn't like this before it rained, so anyhow. We're just gonna go straight across the path here to plant this Virginia now, right in with these heucheras and hostas and rhododendrons. So come on in and let's see how it looks as we get it planted. All right, so what I took out from here was a Japanese fern, and that's what created this hole. And I took it out because essentially something has continued for the last few years to bed down in this area. It might be the groundhog, it might be bunnies, I'm not sure. But when they do, they basically lay the fronds of the fern down, and then they end up staying like that because they are basically bent. They're not completely broken, but they are bent, and they're bent to the point that they won't right themselves, even with water or anything like that. So I think this is a good alternative because Virginia is also quite animal resistant. I haven't caught anything eating it, sleeping on it, or anything else. And this Virginia is called Ripple Effect. And if you didn't see my previous video on it, the unique thing about this is that it has these ruffle-like edges. And unfortunately, unlike other Virginias, this one is not evergreen, so it will not maintain its foliage. It will die back every winter. But that's okay because I think it's really pretty. And we need something large leafed here that's not going to get too big. Okay, I think it looks lovely. That was nice and simple. Now we're going to go plant a Weigela. Okay, so we're standing in the spot where we had these giant arrowwood viburnums that were about 12 feet tall probably. We took them out because they had gotten infested several years in a row with the viburnum beetle larvae, and they just basically defoliate the entire shrub and attack it until it looks like a skeleton, and it looks horrible. Usually the foliage comes back, but it's really, really ugly, especially because we're sitting right here on the deck trying to enjoy ourselves outside. And I really liked the shade from them, but unfortunately, they had to go. So we're going to plant this Wine and Roses Weigela. Now this came out of the pots that we had over by the fountain that we planted up in the last video with the limelight hydrangea. And you can see back here, I had a little hosta because it was shady. So we're gonna have to take that hosta out because this is full sun now. I mean, full sun. This faces south. And the good thing about this is that Weigela absolutely love the sun. Now, we're probably gonna have to dig pretty hard in here because I think there's going to be a lot of roots from the viburnum. I also have the sedum that we might use as well. This one came from, I can't remember where, but I dug it up from someplace, and now I have an extra sedum. I thought about using it in the way back garden, but I think there's another one that I actually will use for that purpose. All right, well, fingers crossed, guys. We're gonna really try to dig down into this soil. I don't know how well we're gonna do. Wow, there's a lot of roots down in here. All right, I think we're getting through this root now. So you can see this root was probably about an inch thick. We have slayed it. Whew, there's some serious roots down in here though, guys. All right, I'm going to check and see how big the root system is on this Weigela. I'm cramming it in the hole, you guys, because that's as big of a hole as I can get. Now until this gets bigger, I definitely want something else out in front here. So that's where I'm going to put the sedum. I'm going to put the sedum right out here in front where this dianthus died, because a chipmunk dug it up right after I planted it. So many roots, so little time. Luckily, sedum do not have super big root balls. All right, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling pretty good about the way that this looks as compared to what it did before. It's not perfect, but I've got something that's covering the ground, and it's going to look a lot better than just the bare soil and the bare, mulch here. And this Weigela should get 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. I believe it's hardy down to zone 4. If not, we'll try to post something on the screen for you. I will double check. But it has really nice spring blooms, and it is supposed to be a real re-bloomer as well. Again, it's the Wine and Roses variety, and just in front of it is the Autumn Joy sedum. So this should actually provide us with some really nice late summer interest as well, and definitely would say that all of the bees and pollinators love Autumn Joy sedum, so it's going to be really happy in its new spot. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. This concludes our planting for this video. It certainly was fun and great to get some of these plants out of their pots and into the ground where they'll be much happier. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.